Hey everybody, I hope that you're doing well. Jeremy Evans, I'm the pastor here at Woodridge, and I'm with my friend John Carswell. And instead of doing a weekly devotional, I've decided to pivot a little bit and talk about a ministry that we have partnered with over the last several years, trying to make an impact globally, and that's Compassion International. That's why I've got John with me here today. The world has seen a lot of changes over the last several months. It's impacted our church as well as other churches. It's also impacted this ministry that hundreds of members of our church have invested themselves in. And so I just thought it'd be good to get you up to speed on some things, and I'm going to let John speak to this a little bit. So with COVID and everything that's been happening globally, what are some of the changes that you've seen that's come to Compassion? I'm sure that you guys had to sort of stop what you're doing and turn and go a completely different way. And so I just wanted you to speak to that a little bit. What are some of the good things you've seen? Yep. What are some of the challenges that you've seen?
Yeah, absolutely. So when you think about Compassion, obviously we have a USA side and then all the countries we work in. And so we saw huge changes all globally. In the US, when COVID hit, we had to cancel essentially every event we had to coming up to get children sponsored. And so we've had to go online with the church. We've had to do some digital events and not as many, but we've learned a lot through that. And then overseas, 7,500 church partners in these 25 countries where we work. And like us, they essentially had to shut down meeting. And they don't have online services. Think about a neighborhood in a community where they put in place the social distancing. So mothers can't go to the market to sell their goods, and therefore they can't get money, and therefore they can't buy food to eat that day. And so what we've had to do in pivoting is, normally we are a child discipleship development organization working through local churches. Well, we've had to pivot to be a church in the streets relief. So primary focus right now is providing food to families so that they can eat. Also, medicine is a big deal. A lot of these children don't have access to health care, so we're having to bring kind of the health care to them. A lot of these countries aren't aware of how hygiene impacts the spread of COVID or the lack of spread, and so we've been teaching a lot of that and giving them hygiene kits. And then getting really creative, because we work on spiritual development, we work on cognitive development, a lot is what we do. So we've had to get real creative with these churches to put together some packets that these children can do at home. So it's been a big change. We've learned a lot. We've had some tremendous successes. We had a church in California, completely online, sponsor 1,000 children. Oh, wow. Now that's one. I've got several failures for that good story, but really God's been faithful through this time, and I know He's teaching us something really special.
So you've had to redirect a little bit, and you're talking about the main thing you want to do is get food to the families, make sure that these families are eating. But even with that, there's some challenges related there.
Absolutely.
Sometimes with the help that you provide, these families or villages or whatever can become targets.
That's right.
For people to take the money, take the food, and take control. What are some things that you've seen like that, and so maybe have to shift or redirect that the ministry normally operates?
Yep, I've got two stories that are very similar to that. One was in a community in Honduras that literally the government had shut down this community, blocked it off with police so you couldn't go in and out because of a COVID outbreak. And so, well, that creates a problem for the people in that community obtaining food. So Compassion actually got special permission from the government and then actually help from the police to deliver the food baskets to the children. So again, once the government found out what we're doing and the name that we have, God's given us a really good name, we actually got the government to help us access these communities that were normally blocked off. In Kenya, what happened is COVID actually created like a business channel breakdown in the food distribution. So now people that are already challenged to get food, it becomes even more difficult. So humanitarian organizations stepped in and started doing food distribution lines. Well, that got very tense very quick. Violence broke out as a result. So there, the government had to just no more food lines. You can't do it, which creates a problem because that's a way that some people are getting food. So there, uniquely, what we've done is when someone sponsors a child, 80% of that goes to ministry. And most of that winds up in the local churches, and we do the accounting to check on that. Well, in these crisis moments, we've actually got some churches in Kenya that are texting money to the homes of the children just so they can buy food. And we're following up with it. That's a very unique situation. That's not how we normally operate,
Right.
but literally in some situations, doing what we can to keep children and families alive.
Yeah, just to keep them alive. Necessity breeds ingenuity.
That's right. That's exactly
And
right.
so a lot of creativity. So let me ask you this. You know, we at Woodridge, we've certainly partnered with Compassion, and we've got a project that we're trying to plant in the Dominican that's on hold right now. So just kind of looking ahead, what are some of the things that Compassion is looking at? Obviously, some ways that you normally do shop. You're not going to be doing for a little bit, but what are the things that you are doing? What is the focus for right now and in the near future?
Yep. So right now, as we speak, our fiscal year is coming to a close at the end of June. And so we're looking ahead. So this next year, through all the way through to next June, we have, because we had to shut down a lot of our events, we have a huge number of unsponsored children. So as a result of that, we're not going to be adding any new projects or any new church plants. We're not going to be adding any children for what we see for the foreseeable next 12 to 13 months, just so we can work on sponsoring children and getting that number back down to something that's manageable. But we've committed to every single child that we registered, right? We're not going to unregister any children. So this year, we're still working with our church partners here in the U.S. as they are opening up to host events. I've got my first event at a church in Oklahoma in August, and we're thankful for that. We'll see how that goes. But also, Compassion has launched a global campaign, because it's not just the United States that supports Compassion. It's actually 14 countries. The ones you would anticipate: the UK, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, some European countries, South Korea. And we've launched a global campaign for the first time called We Rise as One. And that's where everyone can give to a fund, and it really is just helping the relief efforts. And so our churches and our sponsorship funds are really going to those sponsorship families to help keep them alive and support them. But we love local churches, and so we're wanting to raise even more funds to help these local churches that we already partner with to reach out to other people in their communities to help keep them alive, to help give them medicine and things like that. So you'll see, if you follow Compassion, sponsoring kids is always good for us, always key, having that relationship. But then what's not normal for us is a relief fund, just to help us in the effort against COVID.
Right, yeah, and that's independent of sponsoring kids, right?
Correct. That's exactly
but,
right.
you know, if you're watching today, you know, you talked about a church in California that had 1,000 children that were sponsored simply online. You know, there's no reason that you can't sponsor a kid today, am I right?
That's right.
And so if somebody's watching and you say, you know what, I want to make the difference in the life of a kid and their family, I want them to have the education that they need. I want them to have the food that they need, the medicine that they need, so that this kid is well taken care of and they have the prospects of a better future. Ending poverty in Jesus' name, right? I mean, this is Compassion. How do you sponsor a kid?
Yeah, so what we will do is you can always go online, and it's easy to sponsor a child, but I'll provide you all a link, Jeremy, that you can put on your website. And that particular link will go straight to the area in the Dominican Republic, up on the north side of the Dominican Republic, where you all focus with us. And so we can make sure that, hey, I want to sponsor a child where the rest of the people from Woodridge are sponsoring. That link that we'll provide you all, you can do it right there as well.
Sounds good. I appreciate it, man.
Yeah, thank you.
Hey, listen, heads up, everybody. What this reminds us is something very simple. You know, the work of the church, work of Woodridge, we never stopped. But what we did do is we pivoted and we went a different way because of the uniqueness of the situation that we found ourselves in. We find that's happening in other organizations as well. But you know, the Lord's work carries on. And so I invite you, if you want to be a part of what's happening in Compassion, then jump in, let's sponsor a kid, and let's make an impact. John, thanks for being with us today.
Thanks for your partnership. So many people at Woodridge sponsor kids, and we're so thankful.
Absolutely. Hope you have a great week. We'll see you soon.